And this week we saw Victorian farmers and CFA volunteers descend on the steps of Parliament to protest another crippling tax imposed by the dangerously inept state Labor government that could bankrupt farmers, some of them already struggling under one of the worst droughts experienced in more than 100 years.
It was a peak hour pilgrimage from all corners of the state and through city traffic to give the Premier a serve. Will you pay the bill?
No, we won't pay the bill.
What do we want? Where do we want it?
Concerns the $5 billion expanded fire services property levy is an unfair burden on those who volunteer on the front line.
We just help, and we help for free.
And grow Victoria's food.
Wasted money down here and the country just doesn't exist.
You see, the Rita Allan government is replacing the fire services levy with a new expanded tax called the Emergency Services and Volunteers Fund. Only problem is the amount households and landholders have to pay each year will almost double. Yes, just a casual increase of 189%, which for some farmers will mean tens of thousands of dollars they'll have to find each and every year. And right now we have farmers in Victoria killing tens of thousands of perfectly healthy dairy cows because they can't afford to feed them or water them anymore. Livestock agents told the Herald Sun the situation is so grim that abattoirs across the state are battling to keep up with the demand to slaughter dairy cows, with thousands being culled each day as the cost of hay reaches new highs, jumping another $100 a tonne in the last week alone. Imagine what that's going to do to dairy prices down the track. That's what Victorian farmers, many of them also CFA volunteers, are dealing with, and that's why they gathered in Melbourne to protest. Peter Credland was there to hear their stories.
It's just a disgusting money grab, and it's just completely unfair on farmers. Be expected to pay ridiculous overspending within the city.
Government are just trying to burn us, and we're all volunteers and we spend hours and hours out on the fire ground.
This tax is, as we all know, it's just another tax to fill holes in the Labor government's economy.
We spent our Christmas and our New Year's and everything on the fire truck. What were you doing, Jacinta? Were you sitting at home with your family? Well, we weren't.
Now, if you want to get some idea of the disdain the Allan government has for regional communities, then look at the hysterical overreaction of the Premier to a little stunt by a farmer who delivered a small, carefully wrapped box of cow manure to her office. She seemed far more upset about that than the very real hardship the drought and her government's greed and ineptitude is causing. All Jacinta seemed to care about this week is that little box of cow poop, complete with a note saying, "Dearest Jacinta, I've considered your levy and here's my feedback. It's bull dust. Love, Brutus and family." Now, this was delivered with the help of Liberal MPs Bev MacArthur and Nicole Werner, who escorted the gift-bearing farmer to Jacinta Allan's office. Premier Allan saw that as the ideal opportunity to play the victim, calling the stunt disgraceful and even claiming her office's workplace safety was compromised.
A couple of Liberal politicians acted in a disgraceful, inappropriate way in a workplace, in the parliamentary workplace.
And she wasn't done yet. The tantrum continued. She called on the opposition leader, Brad Batten, to also condemn his MPs.
Well, I condemn that behaviour. You know who hasn't condemned that behaviour? The Leader of the Opposition, Brad Batten, hasn't condemned that behaviour. And I call on him to either condemn this behaviour or is he going to back his backers who did this disgraceful act?
Well, bad luck, Jacinta. It seems you're not going to have Dan Andrews' good fortune. It appears the Vic Libs have moved on from the days of John Pesutto, who attacked his own MPs for fighting the good fight. Instead of condemning his MPs, Brad Batten backed them for standing up for CFA volunteers and farming communities.
Look, it's not something I would have done, but what I do know is yesterday people were very, very angry when it comes to the new taxes that are impacting on farms across Victoria. There is a reason that thousands of farmers came from all over Victoria with their fire trucks, with their uniforms, to explain to the Victorian government that they are fed up with being the feeding cow for this government's budget.
What a refreshing change from the quisling antics of John Pesutto, who likely would have moved to censure or expel the female MPs, perhaps after accusing them of associating with people who may have associated with others who once shared a platform with someone undesirable. But while Brad Batten stuck fat, Shadow Treasurer James Newbury, the member for Brighton, who lunches with Simon Holmes à Court, was all too eager to turn his sights on his Liberal colleagues rather than maintain pressure on the Premier, saying it's always important to be respectful in your debate and what happened was inappropriate. There's nothing respectful about abandoning farmers under immense financial pressure who can't even afford to feed or water their animals. There's nothing respectful about the pitiful relief package offered by the Allan government that is entirely inadequate. It's an insult. And there is nothing respectful about the economic vandalism that has seen Victoria record the biggest debt in the country with an annual interest bill that is set to pass $10 billion. That's just the interest. If you want to know how to hold the Labor government accountable, then perhaps take a page out of Bev MacArthur's book, who had this to say about the cow manure stunt. She said, Labor MPs are acting like they've never seen cow shit before. Maybe they don't get out of Melbourne much. If they are genuinely more upset about a pile of manure than the total mess they've made of their budget and this state, it's no wonder Victoria's going broke. That's how it's done. And this weekend, there's been a major development with this saga, with the Sunday Herald Sun reporting that regional councils are declaring war on the Allan government over this controversial issue, over this volunteer levy, calling for the immediate cease of introduction as communities deal with the ongoing drought. It's time that every Liberal MP learnt that you are elected to hold Labor accountable, not to engage in stupid factional games and undermine your colleagues who are doing a better job than you.